So what is the Food Policy Council in Vienna? So it's a civil society platform that advocates for a sustainable, equitable, healthy and diverse food system in Vienna and for the Greater Vienna area. And our vision is good food for all, self-determined food choices and co-created design. Yeah. And what we are trying is to connect, to understand and to change. And we see ourselves as a dialogue partner for urban decision makers and for the city of Vienna in the end. But on the other hand, we are also a critical observer of decisions which the city is taking concerning the food system. And perhaps what's important in comparison to other food policy councils in Europe, we are 100% volunteering work, so we have no funding from the city generally. We get sometimes a funding for different projects, but not a general funding, and that's often a challenge. And so the question was, what did we learn during the coach project? It was also really interesting for me last time in Paris to listen to all of you what other parties in Europe are doing towards a fair food system. We were also part of the mentoring program, and we also had a learning session in Vienna where we thought about how can we develop as Food Policy Council. And our learning results were that we have to focus not only on policy papers and theory, so to say, but that we really have to focus more on the change perspective. So to focus on concrete projects which is making a difference for a lot of citizens in the city of Vienna. And that we need to talk not about the problems, because the problems are clear, that we have to talk more about solutions. And from a solution point of view, it's also important that it's really low threshold. So if you talk about food co-ops or say CSAs, for example, they're great, but for most people, at least in Vienna, it's too much of an effort to be part of such a system. So we really tried and will try in the future, to think more about really threshold solutions. And if the solutions are really low threshold, then it's getting more transformative energy for all the people which are participating. And also before COVID, I think it was 50 active persons, and after COVID it's something like 12 or 15. So it really hit us hard because of the voluntary work. And that's why we decided to focus more on concrete projects, and I will really shortly show you 3 of them. One is the so-called World Plate Field. So we really designed an agricultural area of 3,000 square meters in Vienna and said, okay, we show the people there how much of the food an average Viennese citizen is eating comes from abroad and comes from Austria and comes from direct plant consumption, and which is in the end more or less animal feed, which in the end is then then fodder for the animals. The second project we are really focusing on is a logistics network for the Greater Vienna area, where we really say, okay, we need to have logistics a little bit like a public transport for products, because if we want more small farmers around the city, then they need a cheap way to get the food in the city. So that's our second initiative. And the third initiative we are really doing, we really founded a company, we founded a corporation which is called Morgenrot, and we call it the alternative to the supermarket. So it follows the Hansalim approach in South Korea, where from the farmers to the customers, everything in between, the logistics, the food processing and everything, is more or less organized in a cooperative way. And in the consequence, we are able to giving the farmers 50 to 60% or 50 to 70% of the end consumer prices, and not the average 20% we are normally having.